All right, you got one?
Yeah. So this is kind of one where I already know the answer. So I'm almost looking for the inverse. I'm looking for when do you not say something? Because you'll see. But this might be interesting for this is kind of a male female question in the sense that guys are going to immediately know how to respond, and I think women are going to be like, yeah. So my wife and I went to dinner the other night at a local golf course that has a really nice. It's really nice food. It's nice table service. But fortunately, we're in an area where you don't really have to dress up to go here. So you can wear a t-shirt and shorts and sandals, but still have a really nice dinner. So
are you becoming a country club guy?
No. Well, it literally was a country club, but I'm not becoming it's a public country club with a restaurant where you can go eat.
Okay.
And so that's what we were doing. And so, so we went in, we went and sat down. The front desk person at this country club, it's sort of broken off where he's the only employee that you see, or she, but in this case it was a he, only employee you see when you walk in. He's behind the check-in thing. He takes us to our table to be seated. Very young. I mean, gotta be just past the legal age of hiring somebody in the state of Ohio. Clearly very green, wobbling, bringing the tray of water and cups and pitchers over. Very young, very nervous. Sees every table's open and he's indecisive on which table to put us in. Everything's open, guy. Everything. Pick one. Literally. And he's like, he sees one speck on a table and then he's like, you can tell he's thinking, I can't sit them there. There's something. And so I finally just say, can we just do this one? Is this one all right? Oh, of course. So he gets us situated. Very nice guy because of how uncomfortable he seemed carrying the tray. Now, the water situation, it is two shorter glasses, but they're stemmed. And then the actual water is in a milk bottle that's open on top. So it's fresh water, but because it's a milk bottle, it's kind of skinny. It is shaking a little bit on his tray. Because it was so funny to my wife, when he finally seats another table, she's really zoned in on him bringing the water out a second time because she's pretty amused at this point by him trying to carry this tray of water and how much he's shaking and it's still not spilling. So she notices as he's setting it down, his fly is open. And for the ladies, that means the zipper on your pants is open. And she comments, and I look over and now I realize it's very obvious. He's got a black polo on, black dress pants or jeans, I couldn't tell, with a bright silver zipper. So it's very clear that his quote fly is down. And so she has obviously brought it to my attention and in sort of a like, oh, poor kid kind of way, but that's the end of it. And I'm like, well, I gotta tell him. I can't not say something. And I've been in a position where even working before, I've had people say something to me and I've said something to other people. And I think the guy code on this one is you always have to say something as long as you can do it quietly and ideally pull somebody to the side or kind of lean in and just give them a, hey, And so for me, it's just a matter of when, not if, but we're in the middle of eating our food. I'm not going to get up right then and walk 20 feet towards these other people's table to tell him. So as we're leaving, I'm finally, we're back in the lobby. We're using the restroom. It's just me and the young guy. I'm able to lean in and go, hey, I want to check your fly. Just a quick kind of leaned in, nobody around. Oh, thanks. He quickly zips it back up. So my question is there any situation where you don't say something? Because guy code is you would always say something. You would always want to know if somebody can politely lean in and whisper to you, hey man, just quick thing, check your fly. You would always say something. There was never a doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to say something. But it was so foreign to her that I was sitting there going, there's no situation where I wouldn't say anything. I can't think of a time when I wouldn't walk over, lean in, and just do a quick pass and let them know?
I'm thinking of a very specific situation, but it might be different because I don't know how to do this without getting into the story. But the person sometimes listens to the podcast, and I don't know if okay. In that situation, is there a time you don't say something? What if the situation is already resolved and done? And let's say that kid was like a family member and he either found out or like later in the day went to the bathroom. Would you say something later after the fact, after it was resolved? Fly is now zipped. There's no point in saying anything now because it's over and done with.
Yeah. So maybe once it's already, there's no point in the next day being like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you.
But what if something embarrassing happened to him during that period where it wasn't zipped? Is there there's no value. There's nothing he can change about it now. But if like 5 people were snickering and pointing and you care about the person and we're like, hey man, you were walking around like that for a while. There's no point in saying that now because it's only going to add, but you know it.
and look, in either one of those situations, you're going to become a man in that moment if you weren't already. Like if you've never had that happen to you in a public setting, either mockery or a dude coming to your, like a broski coming to your rescue, either one of those will train you for the rest of your life to be prepared.
True. Same with something in your teeth or your breath really stinks, man. Or
it only takes one of those for trial by fire. You've been forged, and anyone who's ever been hooked up by like somebody leaning in, hey, you need to check your fly. It's universal. Nobody teaches their kid that phrase. Like you don't hear anybody, like any guy or girl teaching their young male sons that phrase in public, but you instantly know with no other context. If somebody goes, check your fly, you instantly know what it is.
Yeah. And you're appreciative to that person. You don't have to know them at all.
Eternally. You're eternally grateful.
I have a situation where it was a Zoom call or a video conference call in a professional setting. And a person that I still talk to regularly did something very embarrassing.
Okay.
On the video conference call that everyone else pretended or didn't actually see. It's possible. It's truly possible that they didn't see what was happening, but I clocked it right away. And it was so embarrassing and cringy that I know the person then looked back at their camera and went, oh, and realized it. But everyone kept a perfectly straight face and pretended like they didn't see anything.
How classy of all those people on that call. How classy.
But if someone would have said, okay, so if someone, let's say there were 6 people, he's one of them.
Yeah.
Or she. If I would have gone, hey man, hey, and they truly weren't clocking what was happening, and I did, I've now drawn attention to it.
So situation's different. Do you know why? I'm at the country club. I can wait for a moment to lean in, whisper, and check in with that person to make sure they're aware. Unless you got to text. I mean, the appropriate situation there is text them. You got to text them. If you have an appropriate means of communication that's not like Slack or Microsoft Teams or something like that in a professional setting, your only option is to like text or Facebook message.
Too fast.
And
too fast. It all happened. It all happened too fast. By the time I realized what was happening, it was a problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can do. We've all seen some of those work from home.
Do I ever mention it? I'm so afraid he's going to ask me one day, hey man, speaking of embarrassing moments, did you happen to notice that day on the call? And I want to be like, yes, I did notice.
You should say yes. And frankly, everyone behaved with class and everyone was very cool about it.
Hey, not to add to your embarrassment, but yeah, bro, we all saw that.
Yes, I think we all saw it. I think that was a thing that everyone witnessed.
Okay. All right.
You know, and what's funny, I was just talking to my wife about a totally different situation. And somebody didn't respond the way that they wanted to. And I said, that all comes from the fact that the person didn't know the question was coming. So they didn't know how to prepare a response to a question that they didn't know was coming. And you are prepared. If that person ever asked that question, you can say, as it turns out, I was, because you don't want to use a negative term at the beginning. You don't want to, you don't want to say, unfortunately. You want to try to keep it as positive as possible, but you could say, as it turns out, I did happen to see.
People should be using our podcast as a educational tool. Do you know how many people we're helping?
So many, countless lives.
So that's
certainly the young guy at the country club. So
yeah, he's very grateful. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, and forevermore, he will know how to handle that situation if it ever comes up again. And first of all, he's not going to forget to check his fly for a very long time now.
Yeah.
And if he's ever in a position, he'll know how to handle that in a classy way and not in an obnoxious way where you can just wait till you've got a moment and you can lean in and politely tell somebody.